Do you want to? Should we walk? Should we walk and then
Find a bench or something.
find a bench? Yeah. So I'm recording from now on. So my first question, Nigel, is usually, what are you thinking about
Now,
today? Yeah.
me.
What have you been thinking about this morning?
I'm thinking this morning is to have some chill time. It's the only day off I have this week, going into working the weekend, which is incredibly busy.
You work the weekends?
Yeah, so
How
I
long
do.
How long have you been doing that?
13 years this June.
Oh wow, that's a sacrifice.
It is. Sometimes it's frustrating because your friends are doing things most of my friends work Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
And I work like weekends off and a weekend on sort of thing. So you really can't catch up with them. But in the job I do, like managing a charity shop and volunteers, at the weekend, we get a completely different customers. So we have customers from all over London, and that's quite lovely. You have some amazing conversations. Some of them have not been to the area before. You can, tell them where to go, Borough Market, Victoria Park.
Well, that's nice. It's almost like you're providing community service.
Community
as well
service. I actually had a poster made because we would get all the time, especially groups of young girls, which is wonderful, and they do I call them charity hops. So they're really passionate about.
Oh, I see. So they go from shop to shop.
They go from shop to
and
shop.
It's a real, and it's a destination.
It's a destination. It's a day out. So it's a day of charity shops, and then afterwards lunch and maybe a couple of beers. So.
Oh, that's interesting. I haven't heard of that before, but it makes sense.
Charity hops,
yes.
I call them.
And also, so we should explain that we're walking through Bethnal Green Gardens, and your charity shop is a few streets away, but it's in this area.
Yes.
So when they do their charity shops, if your shop is on the run, then they've got Brick Lane, they've got Columbia Road. I don't know where
they've got Bethnal Green Road. They've got Mare Street. They got.
So they can go in different directions.
They can go in different directions. They can do, they can do their own route.
There's a whole. For some people, charity shops are quite a significant part of their life. Like for me, I'm a parent of a young child. Me and Mum use charity shops. Parents use charity shops a lot because kids are always growing out of clothes. I think some people, it's not on their radar at all. Do you find there's any kind of type or kind of people where you can say, oh yeah, I can see them coming in, this is this type of person, or is it all odds and sods that comes through the door?
It really is all, as you said, all odds and sods. There's you get we got probably get more youngsters are aware of the saturation of fast fashion, so they basically will only shop or purchase clothes that are unloved by someone that are donated to a charity shop, but they get a new cycle in life, which is quite wonderful. And I mean, I started really young in charity shops. I was about 14, 15. I was a second generation mod, so I'd be looking for Fred Perry or Italian type trousers.
Right, so you had an angle.
Yes, absolutely. And I sort of, I've always been in love with charity shops because, like our shop, you get, especially with online shopping, you get so many brand new items that come in the shop that someone's ordered from various outlets and they can't be bothered to send them back in the package or go to the post office, so it comes into the charity shop. So at times it's just delightful seeing someone's face when they get something, for example, like a toast jumper that could be £200 plus, and they're getting it for like £40 brand new.
Yeah.
And it's the elation of I could never have afforded this. I just dream about it.
So you see the joy on people's faces.
And the other thing is lovely which I think where we sit is like a real community. We get a lot of people a lot of older people that just come in for a chat to say hello. Maybe they won't see anyone all that day. And I absolutely love that.
Yeah, yeah.
And that, it's great, and
it's quite small. Physically, it's quite small.
It's a really small shop.
But there's always people in it. It's always got a through flow of stock. So despite its size, it's a known place in the area.
Yes, it is. And I think we're one of the rare charity shops which I sort of like brought in. We actually go out, instead of just sat behind a till, we go out and have conversations with customers.
Yeah.
And also you're looking for donors to donate to your charity shop. I mean, there's many charity shops in the area, so you're always looking for quality of items to come in. And of course, the money we make, 100% of it goes back into community projects. So we're trying to raise as much money so we can do fabulous things for young children, for art. There's a really eclectic mix that money goes towards, that well-being classes, which is absolutely fabulous.
So the feeling you get from your work, the job that you do, you know that it's making the world a bit better, and you know that there's a positive impact, there's a social impact to what you're doing.
Absolutely.
There is. I mean, I've read articles that say a charity shop is a sign of a high street not being in rude health, and I'm not sure. I can't remember sort of the background to it. What's your kind of positive selling point about a charity shop and its place within a local area?
I think I've always disagreed with that, because we're also a hub for the community. So it's, for example, if you're someone who lives alone and you're in your late 70s or late 80s, we have a lot of customers that just come in and browse and just want to talk to someone.
Yeah.
They go back home. Their children may live in other parts of the UK. They might only see them once a month or on the telephone. But just to have interaction with a human being is absolutely fabulous. And then, just seeing someone walk out, which I've seen so many times, with a big smile on their face. And sometimes they turn around, especially in winter time, and say, "Oh, thank you so much. I haven't seen anyone for 3 days."
Oh my goodness.
It just takes.
Oh my goodness.
It's just a real tug on the heart. And these things happen. It's like our neighbours, where we live in London. I mean, London's really, because I come from Wiltshire, where I grew up, and everyone in my street, it was uncle. Everyone was uncle, or Auntie Jean, or Auntie Alice, or uncle, even though they weren't your uncles. But you knew everyone. But coming to London, I found it really, because you live in a flat, for instance. You go to work, you come home. You don't really interact with anyone. There's no, especially where I live, there's completely no community.
Oh, really?
No.
Despite, and I'm assuming you're the kind of person, despite your best efforts, I'm sure you probably do a little bit of trying.
Yeah, and they've even tried on the
some description.
The estate. I just think, I suppose I would live somewhere predominantly where people are at work, and they probably do long hours, and all you want to do is get home, have a cup of tea or a glass of wine, and just chill. You don't really. And it's just morning. But I find with the area where I sit, you have really lovely sort of, I call them like old-fashioned conversations. like people say good morning or hello, which is like, and in London you get a bit of a shock. You think, oh, and it's just really bizarre. I was with a friend, funny enough. Last month we went to Margate for a couple of days, just for a break, an old school friend, and we walked from Margate. There's a Viking walk, and we walked it, and we both live in London. We went to school together, but we both live in London, different parts of London. And as we walk in, and it was about 8:30 in the morning, nearly everyone said morning, and we're like, you sort of like in shock, like what is happening
It's
here?
really nice.
It's like it was like the old days of sort of like me growing up in the 70s and 80s. You always say good morning or hello.
It's interesting, that greeting. I do it sometimes because I also like to feel that it's good to put a polite face on and just to greet people, because I think it's part of human interaction, and I like talking to strangers. And sometimes I'm not in the mood to do it, but sometimes I do it, and you do get a surprised look sometimes in London. But also people are sometimes very cheerful. Morning, back. It's a small thing.
Yeah.
It's a very small thing, but I think it makes quite a difference to someone's day. If I walk down the street and someone goes morning for no reason, but they're just greeting me as I go past, it will lift my spirits.
Absolutely. I do this thing. It's really bizarre. I do it about 3 times a year. When I used to work in Oxford Street in marketing and sales, and I was queuing at one of the chains, Coffee Republic, to get a coffee. And there was a lovely woman in front of me, and she turned around, and she looked at the barista, and she turned around to me and said, "Oh, what are you getting?" I said, "I'm just here for a cappuccino." And she said, "And the cappuccino, and I'll pay for it." And I was just like in absolute shock. And she paid for it, and I thought, God, that's a lovely. And then I thought, that feeling I had, I was like really surprised, especially in London as well.
Yeah.
So I do that as well, and you always get a really fabulous reaction. You sure? Yeah. I can
So
treat
kind
you
of
to
like
coffee.
giving it forward. In a
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
And it was I never forgot how elated I felt. Of that, that's such a lovely thing and that's such a great thing to do.
That's great.
Especially, I thought, and the right timing, because I'd come out for a coffee because I was doing a report and my head was all over the place. And I sort of came back in with a big smile. And it was, soldiered on with the report, with a smile on my face.
Yeah.
But, so I do it about 3. I've always done it about 3 times a year to someone.
Oh, that's nice.
I think
that's lovely. So it becomes a little tradition.
Yeah, because I never forget the elation I felt, and I kept thinking, what a lovely thing to do, what a really beautiful thing to do. Because coffee's not cheap, is it?
No, nothing's cheap.
Nothing's cheap in London.
Nothing's cheap.
But it was such a simple thing to do, but such a beautiful thing to do.
Have you always been someone who, given the fact that you're a country boy, you come from, not from town, but you come from a rural, or is it
rural.
town?
It's a town, yeah.
Where is it? Which
in
one?
Swindon.
Swindon,
yeah.
right.
It's changed massively since it's grown hugely.
Right.
But
it was different back then. It was more
yeah,
local.
it was very different back then. And I think the other thing is when we were young, and in the road I lived, and I got to about 13 or 14, and I remember Mr. and Mrs. Peck, and they would have probably been in their mid 70s, 80s.
Right. So they almost went with the years of the century.
Yeah.
They were kind of as old as the century.
They was kind of as old as century, but me and my brother, my mum and dad would make us lawn mow their garden and do all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
We was always like, and like, it's the old thing is like I still do, which, I would always give up my seat on a bus or tube for a lady.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
And hold a door for a lady, always. Yeah. It's those sort of things so yeah, I think it was, sort of from a young age, my parents made, where to do things for other people.
So they made a point of kind of like imprinting it on you and your brother and going, this is important.
Yeah, absolutely.
So something I do with my little one is when we get on buses, I always make sure she greets the bus driver. And she, for some reason, I don't know why, she always shouts it. So she gets on, this little 5-year-old, and she's like, "Good afternoon, bus driver."
I always say hello and thank you as well. That's hilarious.
But the people in the bus always laugh, and it raises their spirits, and they go, "Oh, isn't that sweet?" But that's not the reason why I want her to do it. But I want her to just feel that greeting someone is part of how we go through the day.
Absolutely.
And it might not stick, when she becomes a teenager. I very much doubt she'll be doing the same thing. But it's one of those things where I think if you hardwire in, like your parents did with you, it's something core that becomes part of you. It's like, it's just thinking about other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Essentially, that's what it is. It's bringing other people in eyesight into your consideration?
I think even at, I used to love. I was a cub as well, which I used to love. And I look back now and absolutely laugh because there was me, Stephen, Johnny, and Peter, for all the same age. We're in the same cub group in Swindon, and we used to do this every year. This sort of like a community. There was like Bob a Job and a community thing, but we used to have a red telephone box in our. I lived on a sort of like road with a small cul-de-sac, and we used to clean it, and we used to put a little pad and a pen and a jar of like daisies, jam jar full of daisies. And I look back and I just laugh and I think, what the hell? They must have, the pen and paper probably went that day. I don't know about the daisies.
What, so you were basically decorating the red phone box?
Yeah,
and just make it a nicer place?
I used to get window lean off my mum. We used to do all the windows, and it was part of our, we used to have to do it in our cub uniforms. But I look back now and just laugh, thinking what the neighbours must have thought of these like these 9-10-year-olds putting jars of daisies on a shelf in a telephone box.
Did you get a badge for it? You know those badges down the shop?
Yes,
was it like a phone box badge?
It was like a phone box badge. That's what they should have had, a phone box badge. I don't know why we always targeted that phone box.
I remember those badges. I was in the pubs too.
I used to love it. I used to absolutely love it. And it was, you used to do, I don't know, it's sort of like, it gave you some sort of structure in life, and
I think there's also that. I think the flip side of it is if you go through the day, or you go through like life here in London without speaking to people, I think it imprints a sort of grumpiness or a loneliness because it makes you, for people who are not into talking to other people on the street or interacting in shops, I don't know, they're just missing out.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're just missing out on human contact.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. I always think people who have people-facing jobs must keep more cheerful than everyone else. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's at McDonald's, a coffee shop, a charity shop, wherever. If you're dealing with people face to face, it must just raise you a bit.
And also, you learn. It's funny, you learn so much. Even with conversation with volunteers, it could be something simple like a food or a place they've been to, or you're always learning, and it's lovely work, because I'm in my early 60s and I have a team from 16-year-old to 60s, and with technology and everything, it keeps you a little bit on the ball. It's quite fascinating at times, because you're probably the same as me. When I was doing my O-level and A-levels, I lived in a library. Now everything's on the telephone or an iPad.
Yeah.
But in a way,
and that's taking us away from...
Yeah, I like that. I know we had to be... I did all my revision mainly in a library, and there'd always be about 14, 15-year-olds in. But you had absolute respect for the librarian because she would shush you if you were loud.
Yeah.
But I just know you felt a little bit grown up as well, But going back to the volunteers, it's really funny because I remember I had a volunteer, Jackie, that I'm still friends with, and she was at Queen Mary's, and she volunteered me all the way through while she was in London before she went on to be a doctor.
Right.
And she said to me once...
as in she was a student at Queen Mary's University?
Yeah, she was a student at Queen Mary,
right.
and years later then qualified as a doctor. But she said, working in a yoga and working in
the name of your charity shop, a yoga.
Yeah. She met such a huge eclectic mix of people that it helped her massively.
Interesting.
Because she met everyone.
Basically in her communication skills, in how she dealt with people, because she's going into a profession where it's people facing.
Yeah, and you sort of meet everyone. You meet it's such a beautiful eclectic mix of people.
Is there also, for you, because you're the manager, because you're running it, is there also for you personally, you feel you have to nurture your team so that everyone gets something out of it?
I want the best.
Do you kind of carry them through in a way, and you feel like you're like Papa Bear for them because you get a through flow of volunteers? They're all different shapes and sizes and ages, so they all have different, reasons as to why they're there or what they get out of it.
I mean, for me, you know, they're phenomenal ambassadors to my charity shop. They're, you know, the face of the charity shop. And you know, you're 16 and or you know, early 20s. You learn so much, you know, especially people skills when they're eventually going into a career. And it's so important, you know, it's so important to interaction is so important. And you're always learning, and you know, you gather so much information, you know, of from a variety of generations. You know, it could be like a cooking tip, really bizarre things, you know, making a pasta sauce, or you know, it's I think it's a skill that you can take to any job with you, customer service, you know. Really is.
You mentioned sales. You mentioned Oxford Street. Give us the patchwork of your working life. Give us the jigsaw of everything you've done and how it kind of connects together.
I started in customer services with Royal Mail, and then moved through. I worked in operations for a time, and then I basically I did sales and marketing, and then I went back into the customer. I've always really sat in customer experience, customer services.
Right.
I've always liked people.
Yep.
And I used to like fixing things for people and their frustrations, you know.
So you're not one of those people who you don't mind having a frustrated customer, someone who's angry, someone who's got problems. You don't mind that coming towards you, and you're like, right.
I used to like the challenge which is lovely, and you get it, where they start apologising because they phone up really frustrated and angry.
Yeah.
And you calm them down, then they end the call apologising to you and their behaviour. I used to love that. You just have to count 10. Count. I always think I never get aggressive with customers, even when it's frustrating.
Yeah.
You know, because trying to talk to an actual individual now on any organisation, be it BT or anything, is really hard. They want everything to be by
as in
email.
You can't get through to a
and
person,
sometimes,
can you?
and I understand there's certain generations that want to talk to a human being. The
thing is, I'm not sure even whether we can say it's certain generations. I think we all like talking to a human being. I don't think many people like. Well, first of all, it takes much longer if you're doing everything online and trying to fill out forms and trying to get through to the right person and have a chatbot speak to you. And probably that's going to become more ubiquitous because of the rise of AI, etc. But in terms of speaking to people, it shortcuts so many problems because the human voice and how we communicate is so complex and so nuanced. We can communicate so much more in a conversation than we can by text.
Absolutely, and it's funny as well for the conversation. Like, I find that, and I'm more aware now that it could be like an instant call from a company just checking you're right, and certain people think they're scammers straight away.
Yeah, of course.
They put the phone down to them. They're just like, what the hell has happened now? Everyone's a scammer. They just want to get into my bank account. This is more and more what I hear in the shop. Not everyone, you know. Maybe take their number and ring them back.
Yes.
And you might find it's actual.
But the problem is there is a proliferation that we all get of calls from unknown numbers where you can hear someone's in a call centre.
Yes.
So they do that little click, the microphone picks up the buzz around them, they're in a call centre, and immediately you're on your guard. You're like, I don't need a call from a call centre.
No, absolutely.
I'm not expecting it. So.
And you like, it's a bit of a shocker that someone's actually you're subscribing to is actually checking that you're okay. You're getting the right sort of thing. Because it's really funny with the AI thing. Someone told me that if you get an unknown call, don't talk at all because they're taping your voice. AI.
Oh my goodness!
Like, not another thing. Not another thing I got to think of.
I hope that is not true. And AI is marching towards us at an ever increasing pace. But I hope we don't have to watch. What we have to say in every recorded conversation.
That was last. It was quite funny. Don't ever talk.
Oh my goodness!
And I just thought that was quite funny. So
in your wide experience of people-facing jobs, of customer service, are there, because you've been in it so long, do you know it backwards, back to front, or are you still surprised?
I still get
sometimes?
surprised, and I still learn. I think, and especially when I moved up to London, it's such a diverse. I came to London because where I come from, I wouldn't have, you wouldn't have been able to get promoted because no one is going to, leave a government job, a civil service job until they retire. So you have to.
Oh, that's
leave.
interesting. So
You have
basically,
to
there was very little
Yeah.
movement. You had
Yeah,
to
you
go
have to go
to a bigger
big
place.
city. You have to get if you want a career or to progress, you have to leave places like that. You have to go. You find go
And
to
you-
London.
And the thing is, you can understand why people stay.
Absolutely.
You stay in a job because there's not many jobs in an area. Stick with it.
Yeah, you could, but then you don't grow. I think.
Yeah.
And it's it's really. I've met I was nervous, because you got your family, you got your friends,
Yeah.
and it, I was really nervous. You think, oh, am I doing the right thing?
Yeah, it's a big change.
And then I came here, and then
Did you get the job before you came? Or
yeah,
did you come in?
I
Right.
got the job.
you
So
got
I stayed within my organisation. It
Oh,
took me
okay,
about
that helps.
It took me about a year, just under a year to transfer. It was a promotional transfer, which I wanted. That was the only thing I was going to do. Is
Yeah, you wanted to go up.
I wanted to go up, start going up.
Yeah.
And but I settled. I think the first month I went home every weekend to catch up with friends and family, and then you start meeting colleagues and you start socialising with colleagues. And I'd never worked with someone who was Italian or someone who was from Pakistan. It was just predominantly
Yeah.
the
So-
same.
So
It was
suddenly
just
you're in a
suddenly
world
in
culture
whole
instead of
world
a
culture.
Swindon culture.
And the lovely thing was, you start seeing London because your friends that you start building relationships and start socialising weekend. One might live in Muswell Hill, one might live in Brixham.
Yeah.
You start going all over London. You start
Yeah.
seeing London, and I think that's the only thing that I've reflected on the last couple of years. And someone said to me, I've been in London 28 years now, that you start just then in your little village. So for me, it'd be like,
What?
why you just do that little bit.
Interesting. So you're saying as the years have gone on, as you've got older, actually that exploratory
Yeah.
going out to happens less,
Yes,
and you
less
become
and
more
less.
contained in one
Yeah,
area.
You just then
Interesting,
that.
yeah.
Someone said that to me many years ago, that you start staying in your little village, where they
Yeah.
meant you just do like Whitechapel, Bethnal Green, maybe Hackney,
Yeah.
and maybe Shoreditch, and that's it. And I did this so that I had to go and see a friend in North London.
Yeah.
It's like, oh God, what an effort. It's like going on a flight to Spain.
I know.
It's just hilarious for, it's going to be 50 minutes.
Yes.
But you think it's like going to Greece and back. You're so
Yes.
used to, and I love walking and I cycle more now. And, I hardly use tubes, but I just love walking.
Yeah.
And I looking at buildings and looking up.
Yeah.
And also part of fitness. I do a lot of it. I swim, but I always think I'm going to walk as much as I can, because you never know what that day may come where it might be a bit painful to even do 300 or 400 meters walking.
That's a good
So
point. So you're looking to the future, and
Yeah,
you're going. I'm
absolutely.
actually future proofing myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keeping active,
Yeah.
and
definitely.
also when you walk around with your head up, things might happen.
Yeah.
An interaction with someone might buy you a coffee in the coffee
Abs-
shop, like you said.
That was the best
You
thing
might,
ever.
just say hello to someone on the street, and I enjoy that. I enjoy that, keeping your head up and just observing the world around you and being open.
Absolutely. You find it's really weird, because you also find roads and streets you've never been down, and you go down and you thought, I've lived here for years, I never saw this.
Yeah.
That's a great thing about London. There's
Yeah.
all these hidden gems,
Yeah.
that you just think, oh, I'll have a walk down it. And you think, I've been walking past this for 8 years, I never saw this road or this alleyway.
Yeah.
I didn't realise it led into a cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
I think, but I do. Yeah, I walk more than ever. When I got to sort of like 60, I thought I'm gonna do, because I've, which is sad, like ill health or sudden ill health, and I've seen it in, people mid-60s now, and I thought, nope, I'm gonna walk and cycle. I mean, I at times walk from Whitechapel to Oxford Street and back.
Oh, that's a fair old
So
way.
it's a fair old walk,
Blimey.
but you feel really good. You just think, well, I got no plans. You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if it takes me 3 hours, if I stop for 2 coffees, but I'm going to do it.
And then you've got a whole day of
You got a
a whole day of visual stimulation,
Absolutely.
sounds.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to enjoy London.
Do you feel at this age and stage you're at, and you've got this established life, you've got, you know, the social scene that suits you, you've got the shop that you work in, that you like the work in, everything's pretty positive, you've created this life for yourself. Do you feel that this is it, that this is actually what life is about? This kind of feeling of comfortableness, knowing where you are, knowing your area, and being content in your work? Or do you sometimes get a little bit of an itch and go,
Yeah,
maybe I should mix it up a bit?
Definitely, I do get that itch, and it's that when you get older, you're not as brave as you were in your 30s and 40s.
It's true, actually.
You
do
which
lose
is
a bit of bravery as you get older.
It's really funny because I used to really envy. Basically, when I was young, it might be like your parents always wanted you to get into a job for life.
Yeah.
And when you work with these people that only want to be in that job for 2 years and move on, I used to think that's the right attitude. You're growing, you know, you're learning, you're taking this, you know, you've done 2 years of brilliant work for that company, you've learned these skills and move on to something, you'll learn more skills. But I do think, you know, I love London, but I do. That's the only thing I've thought. When do you, a certain time when you retire, do you leave London? Do you, for example, go to the seaside? Do you go back near a family? You know, where you'll have family that you may need more care. You know, I think, you know, and things like, you know, like which I do now is I've started decluttering a lot. You know, because you think, who's going to want this?
Yeah.
You know?
I don't need this stuff,
No.
and it means nothing to anyone else.
Absolutely. And you can, you know, I look at things like, you know, I love books and I've got lots of CDs, and I think, when was the last time you played that CD? Like 10 years ago, and then you're still reluctant to like get because it's got a memory attached to it.
Yeah.
And then you think, but you haven't done anything with it for 10 years. Why have you still got it? But that's the only thing I think. You know, you never. You know, that's the thing with life. You don't know what's around the corner. But for me, it'd be in the next, I don't know, probably 5-6 years to have a reflection. Am I going to stay here? Do I want a quieter life? Do I want to go near a home? You know.
Does that thought have a little bit of anxiety attached to it, or are you
Yeah.
open to it and you're just
Yeah,
like, well, that's
absolutely.
so there is a little bit of kind
It's
of
only
like,
because, you know, you get mixed. It's like I had about 3 really lovely customers who, after lockdown, after COVID, they sold up and moved away, and 2 of them I see, and they moved to lovely places by the sea. Really miss London, regret it. They really,
interesting.
Yeah, they really regret.
so they think back and they think
back and they
actually
wouldn't have
that
done it.
wasn't the right choice.
And now they can't afford to get back into London.
Of course, because if you leave
Yeah.
London, you got it's a one hit.
Because you forget
can-
what's
yeah,
on
you
your
can leave,
doorstep.
but
You know, it's like
Yeah.
it's a major city, like be it theatre, you know, film, plays, you know.
So that's 2 out of 3 miss out. But what,
Yeah,
one
2
out,
out of 3.
One out of
loved
3
it. One
loved
loves it. One loves it there.
Yeah,
Was
yeah,
ready
yeah.
for the quiet life, but yeah, 2 of them, it was a massive regret. They really missed London terribly, so they spend their time.
I wonder how you're going to kind of square that one yourself, because you kind of don't know until you've done it, in a way.
Absolutely,
And
you
so
don't.
you're going to have to take a
you're gonna
risk,
you're gonna
one
have
way
to
or the
take a
other.
risk.
It's either like I'm sticking, or I'm going to go.
Yeah, because I always think that everyone can get tired of a place at times. I mean, you know, like say walking to work when it's just pouring with rain, and it's all dark. You think, what the hell am I doing here?
Yeah.
And then summer arrives, and it's a whole different vibe. The parks
Yeah.
are full.
Yeah.
People smiling. Vicky Park's looking beautiful. And you think, oh, I really love being in this place. There's so much to do. It's just, I hope I get it right, but I think if you just have to create a new, you just have to go with it, but hopefully, you haven't got a magic, ball, crystal ball, have we? So I think you just have to be a bit, resilient. Just think, make the best of things. That's it. Just making the best of things.